All right, welcome to Houston Oasis, everyone. We are a community of compassion and reason. We're an alternative to faith-based communities. And behind me, you can see our core values, including people are more important than beliefs. Now, my name is Will Judy, and it is my pleasure to be your MC today. We've got a really cool lineup today. So I am going to introduce our main speaker. She's going to give a talk virtually, and then we'll have a coffee break after that. And then after the coffee break is when the Q&A happens. So here live, you can write it down or keep it in their memory. Online, you can put the questions in the chat, and we'll glean them from there. But our main talk is by Megan Rahm. She is an atheist author from Ohio. Spicy. Earlier this year, she published a poetry book released by Free Thought House, a secular publisher in Minneapolis. Her book is called Free to Roam, Poems from a Heathen Mommy. Free Thought House is now working on publishing her memoir about atheism and mental health. It details her mental health struggles and how becoming an atheist was an important part of her recovery. I say right on again. So without further ado, let's have our main talk by Ms. Megan Rahm.
I'm Megan. My pronouns are she, her. So my book is called Free to Roam, Poems from a Heathen Mommy. It was actually released last February 2021. I'm also the author of Free Thought blogs, From the Ashes of Faith. So I live in Toledo with my husband and my 5-year-old daughter. I spend a lot of time at home actually writing. I have a part-time job in an arts program for a local nonprofit, but my job was affected by the pandemic and hasn't really come back yet. I grew up in rural Northwest Ohio, which is a pretty conservative area, and that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to read from my book. It's a poetry book about being an atheist mom in the Midwest. And the first section, there's 4 sections. The first section is called Curls and Cornfields. So this first poem is called Beautiful Country. I miss the nights when lightning bugs speckled the endless horizon, and my eyes bathed in the indigo sky. My favorite color has always been newly sprouted winter wheat, an affirmation of new beginnings. I loved waking up after a snowstorm, blinding white and alone in the silence of the barren landscape. From the delicate irises of spring to the golden blazes of September, every bug in Henry County fluttered its way into our little house. Dark nights of thunder and wind made my heart pound to pieces and sparked a fascination with the dangers of the heartland. Growing up in the country was a crimson struggle of wits and tears, but I will always cherish the beauty of my childhood home. So this poem's important to me. I do a lot of complaining about growing up in the country, but I want people to know that it's not all bad. I have a lot of good memories of my family and friends there. And I especially like the line, every bug in Henry County, because that's what my dad always used to say. I can hear it in my head when I read that. So this book, most of the poems were written during the Ohio stay-at-home order. And that was a time for growth for me as a writer and as a mom, because I had more time for both. My next poem is called Thrive, a message to my younger self. Thrive among the stairs, meant to strip your future naked. Thrive among the words, meant to leave your outlook tainted. Thrive outside the conformity of the minds no longer free. Thrive free of the book that binds their hands and knees. Thrive in your community on the outside looking in. Thrive among your neighbors, ignoring their own sin. Thrive because you're strong and love will always win. So these poems actually started as a chapbook, and I was going to look for a poetry publisher. But I changed direction when I learned about Free Thought House. They're a secular publisher. Their website is freethoughthouse.com. You should check it out. Okay, so this next poem is called In the Back of a Pickup. brittle bones chilled beneath frost moon eyes. She clings to the bed of a truck. Sticky pebbles clatter off the hungry tires. Pink sunset flickers through the singing leaves above. Rough road ahead. Alfalfa fields quickly pass by. Purple and green smear across the horizon. She tightens her grip as her insecurities whip in the wind. She's been imprisoned by a home with the biggest sky, but barely a pinprick on the map. One day, despair will grow wings, and a sheltered childhood will be fuel for her adventures. She shivers in the cold and never looks back. So when I was growing up, it was always a treat to ride in the back of a pickup, but now I would never in a million years let my daughter do it. This next poem is about when young boyfriends try to convert you. It's called Christian Admirer. Eyes of lust and honeydew don't mean I grant you permission to invade my liberated world. Drop the slate and let the luster fade. If you want in my life, I'm going to need you raw. Be real. Give up because you'll never change me. Your envy shines like emeralds. I bet purity burns like hell. This first section is my favorite, so I'm going to read one more poem from it. This is called My Scars, My Story. My curls screamed as they were straightened. My songs were stripped from my lungs. Fresh freedom was depleted when I gasped. Shackles of indoctrination imprisoned my peers. I was alone. Time was never on my side in that small, tired town. Even when I left, cruel judgment branded a lasting impression. Scars that are just part of my story that I'll finish in my own words. So now I'm going to move on to the second section. The second section is called Why I Hate Sunday Morning. It is about my thoughts on Christianity. So this poem is called How Do You Sleep? Indigo rain cleansing my brain after a restless night of soul searching. Relief comes when you realize God isn't real and you're released from your rusty chains. An outlook of debilitating winter melts and sizzles into freedom. Like fresh linen under the morning sun, I put my heart out on the line and won. I'm the shy queen of my ruby paradise, which resides right here on earth. I no longer yearn for a flimsy mystery in the clouds. Breathe deep into the truth and sleep peacefully. So my family wasn't religious when I was growing up, but I was surrounded by Christianity with where I lived, and this was especially evident in my school and from friends. I did go to a public school, but there were prayers at almost every school function, banquets, award ceremonies, games. There was always a prayer, and I was in the marching band, and our band had a chaplain. So you would have never known it was a public school. It was pretty bad. This next poem is called Grounded. Ivory giggles and pink powder secrets, power in endless charade. Let it all hang out between the pews. Just once, let the cold stares see your delicate pearl. Let lace and tumbleweed caress your bare skin. Let fellow parishioners blush with envy. Let reality swallow you whole, and you'll realize you don't need to look to the skies. Satisfaction is found right here on the ground. So when I'm writing, I don't really believe in writer's block or waiting for inspiration. For me, it's like priming a well. I just have to sit down and get started. And one way I do that is with journaling. This next poem is called Stuck in the Closet. There are crowds of atheists cloaked in the long shadows of steeples, even more than we know. They swallow the truth because they think they have to, because maybe they were raised that way. 1, 2, 10 years in a dark closet, their thoughts echo in the loneliness. They secretly question as a tortured mind now liberated, yet another voice suppressed. They're scared, but even more angry. I know that innermost turmoil. That anger will fuel progress, a passionate fire that lights the way. The most liberated life is an honest one. So meditation is also a big part of my creative process. I like to meditate with mala beads a lot. It really helps me focus and calms me down. Okay, this next poem is called 7 Reasons I Don't Speak Up. It's a list. 1, to avoid confrontation. 2, so I don't have to explain myself. 3, because we still have to work together and I don't want it to be awkward. 4, to avoid discrimination. 5, so I can survive Thanksgiving dinner. 6, because you won't take me seriously. 7, because I was told not to. I feel like that list is pretty painfully honest. When this book came out, I became a little more outspoken about being an atheist, and I did worry about my job and about finding future work, but it hasn't come up yet, so that's good. This next poem is about an old friend who went from skeptic to Christian. It's a friend I grew up with. We had lunch a few years back, and I hadn't seen her for a while. And she told me she had been working this job that she just absolutely hated, and she was miserable. And then she found this job that she absolutely loved, and it was awesome. And she told me she couldn't have done it by herself, that God must have helped her. So this poem is called You Didn't Need God. You said you couldn't do it alone, but you did. We are all powerful in our own lives. Scale that jagged cliff, surf those tempest-swept waters. You are in charge. You are secretly sure-footed, resourceful, with undiscovered confidence. What you think is strength in God is really strength within yourself. You're more capable than you know. So now I'm moving on to the third section. It's called The Nice Heathen Family Next Door, and it is all about my life as a mom in Toledo. So this first poem from this section is called Playdate. In a quiet neighborhood, tucked between accountability and appearances, I live among you, the outwardly faithful. With my soccer mom SUV, weekly gymnastics classes, over-the-top birthday parties, picky eater battles, car seat wrestling, and inevitable grocery store meltdowns, my silent anger presses behind my warm, neighborly smile. Your small talk is carefree and careless. Would you let your bratty kid play with my bratty kid if you knew I was an atheist? So my daughter just started kindergarten last fall, and I do kind of worry about how she might be affected by me being an atheist. I don't know if it will ever come up when she meets friends or other families. It hasn't been an issue yet, but she's only in kindergarten, so. This next poem is called Midwest Mom, and there's definitely a stereotype of what a Midwest mom is like. In this poem, I'm definitely describing myself. I don't have the short haircut and I don't like sports, so I'm not the traditional Midwest mom, but I'm definitely still a Midwest mom. So, okay. Passive aggressive with a nervous giggle. I'm a casserole of sweet and salty. My soft meat and potatoes pudge keeps me warm in the snow. I'm a Midwest mom from a family caught between the farm and the city. My daughter's urban upbringing looks a lot different from my childhood in the country. Generations of strong women before me have given me a lot to live up to. We're steeped in tradition, but must keep moving forward. My little girl's smile lights the way, reaffirming growth in the blackest of swamps. Tomorrow looks bright if you squint a little. So that line, in the blackest of swamps, is actually referring to the Great Black Swamp of Northwest Ohio. It's very important to our history. This area was a swamp, and it was drained in the mid-19th century for farmland. And my family was a part of that. My family's farm was established in 1852. This next poem is called Am I Holding It Together? Am I holding it together just enough? My little girl, new to the world, am I showing her what she needs to see? Does each fragile moment, every breakdown, every tear count? Or should I look at the bigger picture, her impending future? Is this struggle a drop in the bucket or the straw that breaks the camel's back? What matters is what she sees through her eyes, not mine. She paves her own way. I merely provide the asphalt. Now I'm moving on to the last section. Okay, this last section is called Midwest Mom, Meatloaf and Revolution, and it is about optimism. So this first poem I'm going to read is called We'll Keep You Well. We are all connected, one brain to another, and most of ours are broken. Our solutions are easy or complicated, but our wellness is a delicate state. Stability often comes from a pill bottle, and that's okay. Balance is the hard part. Be your own normal in an unforgiving world of rigid expectations. Come out of the dark and brush your tired smile. We're here to lift you up. Crawl if you can't walk, but keep moving forward. Your day in the sun is coming. So I spend a lot of time writing about mental health. I write about it on my blog, From the Ashes of Faith. I'm a certified peer supporter in Ohio, and I also used to write for healthyplace.com. This is called Our Rope. Tired feet, a testament to our honest ambitions. We walk the same street, trying to live above water, fingers clinging to the sky. Only bubbles acknowledge our fragile existence. Throw me a rope, and I'll throw you one too. Only rain trickles down from the top, but you and I, we can make the sun shine. This next poem is Freedom Roam, the poem the book's named after. And I really felt that this poem summed up this project for me. So this is Freedom Roam. Let questions swirl in my brain as my eyes strain at the glow of the screen. I'm a tired mom from the heartland with the world at my fingertips. Opportunities and choices are overwhelming in a world becoming so small. My corner of the planet is now yours as I peer into your faraway life. Once impossible connections are made as I share my story with the world, isolated but no longer alone. Okay, this is the last poem I'm going to read from this book. It's my husband's favorite poem, and I feel I really have to read it. These were written during the stay-at-home order, so the library was closed. There were no writers groups. So my husband and his coworkers were the ones reading all of my work. My husband works for 911 here in Lucas County. So this is called Girl Mom. How do I protect my daughter from having the stories all women have, from fearing the night and walking alone? How do I protect my daughter when rapists run for president, when boys will be boys, when an accusation is too frequently overlooked? How do I protect my daughter when she doesn't have a say, when her body is property and legislation dictates her future? How do I protect my daughter from 78 cents to the dollar, from taxes that come in pink, from old and rotten expectations? How do I protect my daughter from the shards of glass when she destroys the glass ceiling and leads the way in a man's world? How do I support my daughter when she no longer needs my protection? So being a mom has given me a lot to write about. So that's Free to Roam, Poems from a Heathen Mommy. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and freethoughthouse.com. I want to talk to you just a little bit about my memoir that's coming up. My memoir is about being an atheist with a mental illness, and this is also going to be published by Free Thought House. Being an atheist has been crucial to my recovery. I have schizoaffective disorder, and for me, that means mood symptoms as well as psychosis. Psychosis for me is visual and auditory hallucinations. Prior to treatment, I called these hallucinations spirits and ghosts because I had no other explanation. And that was my only connection to religion. When I started treatment, I took antipsychotic medication and the hallucinations went away. And so then I knew the ghosts weren't real and neither was God. And like many people with a mental health diagnosis, I have more than one. I also have an eating disorder. I recently spent 2 months at the Eating Recovery Center in downtown Chicago. I was discharged about a month ago. I was treated for symptoms of anorexia as well as avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, or ARFID, as well as rumination disorder. My treatment was brutal, but it was what I needed. I'm doing much better now. This was actually my second time in treatment. My first time was in my early 20s. So while my memoir isn't a poetry book, I do include some poetry with it. I'm going to read a poem about asking for help a second time. And eating disorders are often a lifelong battle. So this is called Fight. Falling down to the sickness, tiptoe around the shards. Rip your pretty dress on the thorns. You'll eat your feelings or starve. Waking up to the wreckage, the past still whispers in your ear. Sweep and mop the stage because today your number is up. Standing up to the darkness because your light is brighter than you think. Sing your beautiful song even when no one can hear you. Rising up for tomorrow, stomp out the nagging shivers. Fake it at your best because the best is yet to come. Giving the world a show because you can and you must. You're a star in your own right, and today you chose to fight. I've got one more poem I'm going to read to you from the memoir. This poem is about connections that you make in recovery. This is called Together. There's a fire in my eyes. Smoke collects in my brain. My burning can be felt for miles, but I see your flame too. Talk me down from the very top. Catch me if I fall. Outstretched arms and stretched out smiles. Are you as tired as me? Dig deep because our ripple just became a wave. Our words are in harmony when we rise up together. Compassion is catching. You should take a bite. One out of love and one out of life. That's the last poem I'm going to read to you. Thank you so much for having me today, and I'll be open for questions later if you're up for it. So thank you.
I'm Alexis Potaman. I'm the one who initially reached out to you. I just wanted to say Thank you so much. They were fantastic poems.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. I was looking, we have Books A Million down here near me. And so I was like looking to see if your book is there, and it is. So it's not in the store, but it's online. So I'm like,
really?
Free delivery to store. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. That surprises me because I thought Books A Million was a Christian company.
They do definitely skew that way. So it's online. And so I've been slowly but sure, like I go in there and I buy like, if I'm buying like specifically non-religious books, I'll try to buy it to like pump up numbers. So
Oh.
but it is on their online website. So
that's awesome. Yay.
I'll be like, yes, we're here.
We're going to have some Q&A, and we'll walk around here physically with a mic. If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I see one on the internets that I'm going to read off. And the question was, do you know if the public school that you attended has changed? That's for Megan.
You know, I'm actually not sure. You know, I left there when I was 18 and just never looked back. But honestly, it's such a kind of an isolated area that I really doubt it's changed. I'm really not sure, though.
Good morning. Thank you for reading the poems. Those are very beautiful poems. Just want to get your thoughts on something. Obviously, there's a lot of diversity as far as viewpoint within Christianity. You've got obviously conservative Christians, but you also got very progressive and liberal Christians that, yes, they do believe in God, and yes, they do follow the Christian Jesus, but they also accept evolution. They're very active in the LGBTQ community. In fact, some denominations like the Episcopalians, Evangelical Lutherans, and Presbyterians, and et cetera, conduct same-sex marriages in their own church and are very much pro-Roe v. Wade. And obviously, whether or not somebody decides to believe in a God is a personal journey and a personal decision. But I just want to get your thoughts on the more liberal, progressive aspects of Christianity that are more social justice and progressive and fighting for good causes.
I mean, I think it's great when, you know, people are more progressive, but I don't know. I just have a hard time with Christians that are more progressive because of the Bible. I don't know. It's like they contradict themselves. I don't know. It's hard to understand, I guess.
All right. Any more questions?
Hey, I loved your poems, and they really resonated with me. I'm a fan of Emily Dickinson, and just kind of reminded me of that, but I wonder if you had any sources or favorite poets that you've enjoyed that inspired you for this.
I took a poetry class a couple years ago at a local university, and I really liked some of the poems I read in there. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot I didn't like, but there's a lot I liked. I like Mark Doty a lot, and I like Sharon Olds. I love Sharon Olds' her Book of Odes. But I don't know. It's kind of hard. A lot of like newer poetry to me doesn't make much sense, I guess. I don't know. It's just, you know, when I write, like, it just seems like everything I write is inspired from my life. You know, I feel like I get more inspiration from the things I do than from what I read.
Another. Hi, good morning. I was just curious, when I read your abstract, or the information they had here, it said you detail your mental health struggles and how becoming an atheist was an important part of your recovery. And so I figured you'd probably come from a conservative Christian background and had escaped from it when I read that, but you clearly hadn't. It sounds like you've been an atheist from the cradle, and so I was just curious, what do you mean by that particular sentence? It details how your mental health struggles and how becoming an atheist was an important part of your recovery. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I wasn't an atheist until I was 21. Even though my family wasn't very religious, I guess by that I mean we didn't go to church every Sunday like every other family back home. We occasionally went to church on like Easter, Christmas, and my family celebrated Christian holidays. They just, I don't know, they weren't very devout, I guess. I didn't really feel a lot of pressure to be Christian from my family, but I did from the area where I grew up. And so I don't know, there's just a lot of thoughts about that, about where I grew up. And so, like, when I became an atheist, like, it almost felt like I was doing something wrong at first. But it was just what made sense to me. And that was a huge part of my recovery.
Yeah, thanks for the great talk. How do you feel about different terms like secular atheist, secular humanist?
Gosh, I haven't really thought about it. And it's kind of funny because, before I wrote this poetry book, I really wasn't connected to other atheists. And, and just from, all these presentations I've done and everything, I've learned about all these other terms. I mean, it's okay, but it's kind of confusing at first. But yeah, I didn't even know humanist, secular humanist. I didn't know any of that existed until after I wrote this book.
Hi. Yeah, I loved your poetry. I think I understand more when I read it, so I will probably see about buying one of your books there and reading it, but I really enjoyed your poetry reading there. I was just curious, we have a secular humanist gathering here, and I was wondering if you have one locally there. I guess you're in Toledo?
Yeah. We do have a local secular humanist group. It's like Secular Humanists of Western Lake Erie. And I've just started to get involved with them. I did do a presentation with them a few months ago. They also have a podcast that I participated in. But I'm just now starting to get involved with local groups. And again, before I wrote this group, I didn't even know local groups existed. And just when I started doing presentations and learning about the different groups, it's exciting, It just seems like Toledo's kind of a conservative area, so to have these groups it's really cool.
I just found out online last week about something called the secular community. It's, I think it's just an online thing. And but it goes on for pages and pages about what a secular humanist should be. I also found out about Secular Students Alliance, and we got one at University of Houston, one at Rice here. Have you had anything to do with any of those groups?
No, I haven't. But now that you've told me about them, I guess I should look into them. I've never heard of that. So is it just colleges, or do high schools have them too?
Secular Student Alliance is also, some of them are in high schools as well, but high schools have more restrictions, but they're definitely in colleges.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Any more questions? All right. Back to you, Will.
All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you all are what makes Oasis Oasis, so we really appreciate you coming every week or hopping online. couldn't do this without you guys, but also money is all part of what we need to kind of keep going, bring in good speakers like Dave Warnock next month, Mandisa Thomas and such. So I think most of you are recurring donors, which always helps a lot because it gives us some stability. But if you want to kind of give piecemeal, there's a hat in the back, or reach out to either me or Richard about other ways to give. So again, completely voluntary. We absolutely appreciate everything y'all do. And quick announcements. While we're on the atheist theme, our speaker, as American Atheist, has a convention in Atlanta over Easter weekend next month. So I just want to announce that. I think we put it on the private page as far as how to go if you want to go. I'm going. Jacob will be there. Johnny and Rodney, I believe, are going as well. So if you're going, let us know. We can hang out in Atlanta and do some heathen stuff. Every Saturday, you can kind of bet that we're going to have a bicycle outing until it gets too hot or if it's too rainy or cold. I guess it's not going to get cold anymore. But bicycle outing will be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on every Saturday until further notice. And the details are on the internets and also on the paper pamphlet we have here. Book club is not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, and every other week we'll have book club. Entitled is the name of the book. For this next one, this next meeting, we'll finish up Entitled, and then next month, in 3 weeks from now or so, we will be talking about Dave Warnock's book, which again we'll post on the meetups and the private pages and such. And then volunteer event. There's on April 2nd. There's Books Between Kids. Again, it's out there, but just want to remind you. And I will stop talking and let Mighty Orq take us out with some great tunes.
Sing y'all a song about possums. Well, I met you on the back porch eating the cat food. You hissed at me and I thought, man, isn't that rude? Later by the trash can, eating the flotsam. Well, I could tell you didn't care if the raccoons got some. You're a nocturnal marsupial, if I'm not mistaken. You're just working for a living, trying to bring home the bacon. You're a crafty little stalker with some tricks up your sleeve. You could win an Oscar playing dead, I believe. Well, yes, I said, now wouldn't it be awesome? I feel like this friendship can blossom. Take all your doubts and toss them up to the man in the moon. Let me play possum with you. Let me play possum with you.